Hey guys, it's Wanda Vitale here with another episode of the Empowered Empaths. Today we're talking about power. Who has it? You are here to understand your inherent value. You are here ultimately to become a master creator. And specifically, we are ending a cycle that began in 2008. So if you haven't looked at what was happening, where you were in 2008 and what was happening. And more importantly, I want you to look at who you thought you were. Most of us have been through the ringer. Most of us who are the forerunners of this Aquarian Age have been through a few fires since 2008. So in my own life, I was in the throes of a very complicated divorce. I had married my business partner. There were no alimony laws. We hadn't been married that long. And the real estate crash was happening. This is when I said to my ex-husband, I would rather live in a tree than endure one more day with this. And I had no idea how I would support myself. I had no idea where the money would come from. I'm sure many of you have gone through similar situations. One of my clients walked out of her marriage with her purse. And perhaps you're somewhere in this place of discovering that it was time to let go of these untenable situations that you'd outgrown them. Maybe it's a relationship, personal relationship, maybe it's a work relationship. But I would invite you to really celebrate the changes that you've been through since 2008. Because right now, those old voices that say, it's impossible. What if it doesn't work out? There won't be any money. What if? What if the clients don't show up? Those old voices are coming up again, just to make sure that you are ready to say, nope, that's not me. I know who I am, and I am a master creator. I know that I am the creator of my life. As we move into this new age of Aquarius, we are being invited to take full responsibility for our lives. So a question I have is, where do you believe now that you are still at the effect of anything? It's a big question. That's a journaling question. See what comes out when you sit down to journal. Do you believe that somebody's going to come and save you? Do you believe that there's going to be a flash or some big event that will save you from having to face your fears? When I was going through my divorce negotiation, I was terrified. I couldn't go back to my corporate work. I was too old, and all my life savings was invested in real estate, and that's when the real estate market crashed. So it was gone. Even though I wanted my husband to have a heart attack, because that would have been so much easier than me having to face my fear, it didn't happen. And maybe you're saying that. Maybe you're in the throes of a shifting relationship now, saying, oh my gosh, why can't he or she just leave so I don't have to face this? But the point of what you're experiencing is that you face this. Where do you believe that you're at the effect of anything in your life? Where do you believe that anything out there impacts you? Where do you believe it's hopeless? So these are cleanup questions. What are you hanging on to that has outlived its life? What things are you holding on to as a sense of security? Is it a relationship? Is it the money in your bank account? Is it where are you looking for security outside of yourself? If you have not explored these questions and taken ownership of you as a chooser of reality and you as one who decides how the particles of creation will show up. If you haven't been through this yet, you may be facing it now. Because in mid-November, we are fully in this age of Aquarius where everything is a choice, and it is anyway. We have to look at where we react. Take that deep breath. Take the pause between the trigger and your response to it, and look at, what story am I telling myself? Ultimately, we're here to become creators, to know that we are creators, because we can be, do, or have anything. And we get there by being conscious in the moment of our old patterns that no longer serve us. Like self-sacrifice, like trying to save somebody. And a very old pattern for empaths and highly sensitives is this idea that other people are helpless. And if we withdraw our support, that is crushing us, that they can't manage. Not true. Not true at all. Everybody is being invited to look at where we're leaking power. And oftentimes that looks like a crisis of faith, or it looks like some crisis where things are impossible. So ask yourself, what's ready to go? What are you hanging on to? Where in the outside world are you putting security? Like, oh, if this happens, I'll be okay. I can assure you that at some point in the next few years, that external support will go away and you will be left with yourself. So why not start now? I also want to address this idea of using our intuition to have antennas out for negative energy. Let's just talk about this. As empaths, many of us grew up in abusive relationships. And I just don't mean abusive, like physically abusive, but neglect is abuse, emotional abuse, not getting the love that we're wired to receive. So in order to not be disappointed, we used our antenna to notice negativity, any kind of negative energy. But here's what I want to say. This has to do with self-mastery. When you're always looking for negativity to avoid it, guess what? You draw to you like white on rice, negativity. It is like saying, oh my God, kale at the buffet. Why did they put kale at the buffet? I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. It's kale. But right next to it is exactly what you want. So there is no such thing as negative energy. Energy is just energy. The great spiritual teachers all say the same. A Course in Miracles says the only meaning anything has is the one I give it. And that may not be a direct quote, but it says something like that. All the great spiritual teachers talk about this. Energy is just energy. It's neutral. We give it meaning. We say, oh, this is negative, this is positive. This is what keeps us stuck in the loop of polarity and the mind. Nothing is negative. It's just energy that you are assigning a negative meaning to. When we realize that everything is choice, and this is becoming a master creator, we just decide what we want. And we stay focused there. We don't notice if anything is negative or positive. What we develop is discernment. We decide, we feel it, and say, this is a fit and this isn't. This is a fit, but this isn't. Don't know yet about this. So I want you also to stop labeling things as negative and positive, unless you want to stay in this mental loop of duality where you're limited. So ask yourself these questions. What are you hanging on to? What's ready to go? Where are you not being honest with yourself about what you want? Where are you becoming a pretzel still, trying to make somebody happy? Where are you still reacting to outside circumstances and giving them a meaning that says they affect you some way? Because they can't unless you give them that permission. Stop and pause. Be the observer in your life. Decide what you prefer. Put a stake in what you prefer. Put your order in to the universe and understand that everything that comes up is delivering you to that outcome. And that will require that versions of you that don't fit that outcome are going to come up. The versions who still believe in fear, who still believe in things happening to them rather than through them, through the lens of your beliefs. Let me know what you're experiencing. I'd love to hear, because this is really the time to step into your true nature as a creator, to step into your passion and do the thing that only you is here to do, and do it without knowing how. Do it without needing to know how. It's time to partner with you as spirit and let the path roll out. Let me know what's happening with you. I'd love to hear. And thanks for listening. And if you haven't hit subscribe, do. I just want to say this. I do what I do because I've been through this process of experiencing my worst fear ever, which for me included not being a diagnosis, not being able to walk, no money, having to reinvent myself, really rising from the ashes. And many of you are somewhere in this process, and I know it's scary. And that's why I do these videos, because only your mind, only the part of you that believes in separation, that you're this blob of flesh, rather than believing and knowing that you're the power that creates worlds, has fear. When we partner with spirit, everything is possible. I know this because this is my life. It's how I mentor coaching clients, because what I know is if you're somewhere midlife, you're moving into the time when the reason that you're here is becoming front and center. And so all these layers of powerlessness are being stripped away. And how do they get stripped away? By you feeling them and by you asking, is this true? Is this really true? And remembering always that you are home. You are home. You are spirit dreaming that you're not dreaming. You are spirit deciding what you want and then focusing all your energy on that so that it can materialize. Because if I can do it, anybody can do it. Thanks again for listening. Let me know what's going on and if this helps.